Hi everyone, welcome back to the podcast. And with me today, I have J.M. Littman. Hello.
Hey, how are you doing?
So we've only really met today, to be honest. I have you popping up to my house. But I was chatting to one of my friends, Jerome, who is a mutual friend.
Indeed.
And I was looking for someone that has been a sort of gentleman racer, I guess is the way.
We have to come up with a better name than gentleman racer.
I don't think it's very good.
Semi-pro-am is...
Semi-pram?
Pram. We're prams, maybe. That's probably the better word. Yeah, pram. We're prams.
But enthusiastic racing drivers with a bit of experience or you've got quite a lot of experience. And we had a little chat and I was trying to get you on and stuff like that. And then you brought up this topic and said, you've just started a company that is basically involved in all of these things that we're going to have a little chat about.
Yeah, exactly. Sport 21 came about of me meeting a very interesting guy called Manfredi Ravetto at Le Mans a few years ago. I was lucky to race there, which is pretty special. We'll come back to that in a moment. But we were just chatting and we carried on talking over the years, and he kind of semi-managed me over the last 2 or 3 years and just got me some great deals and put me in touch with great teams. And just through conversations and understanding how the motor industry works, we decided to try and set up an agency that was going to help drivers like myself and who are enthusiastic and want to go racing, but they need advice. And there isn't actually an agency or consultancy anywhere in the world that does that. There are agencies or individuals that look after pro drivers, but there's no one that goes, hey, yeah, you want to start racing? Well, this is what you should do. Or you've been racing for a few years and you want to get out of club racing, but you don't know where to go. And, we're here to advise that driver where they should go and what they should be doing and where they should be spending the money. And equally, making sure they go to the right team and teams that we know inside out and even that we've actually consulted with as well to make them a better team, because motorsport is not a cheap pastime.
No.
It's not like playing football where you can just have a tennis ball and knock it against the wall and develop your skills. Unfortunately, you have to have a car and tyres and fuel and a team and a track. Even that starting point is an expensive element. So what you've got to do is make sure you're spending your money in the wise way and also getting the support and the service, customer service, actually is really lacking across most teams, to be quite honest. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to actually elevate everyone's...
Elevate.
That's the word. Everyone's game a bit. And say, look, teams, if you've got drivers here paying hundreds of thousands of pounds, they expect more than, jump in the seat and let's go. You
get changed behind that truck.
Well, if you're lucky. Where should I put my helmet? Where's our physio? Where we are basically, if you like, a one-stop shop for teams and drivers to build relationships, driving relationships. I believe is our strap.
I was having before this. I had a little look at your social media, your Instagram and stuff like that, and had seen that you have raced in a whole bunch of different stuff. And I sort of found that quite interesting. And I was talking to some of the guys and they were saying, you specifically go out and try and find good deals to do the most, what is your personal attitude to going out to racing for a season? Because you raced quite a lot, don't you?
18 races last year.
That's
which is a lot.
Bit.
That's a lot of races. For me, I'm always looking for a good deal, and whether that is a free drive, ideally.
Yeah.
And the way motorsport works, international motorsport at least works, is there are different classes of driver, from platinum down to bronze.
Yeah.
And the way most of the series are set up, if you're a good bronze, you're actually more valuable than a good gold. Because they have to have a good bronze driver. So if you can be, not make any mistakes, turn up and do a good job, then you're in a really good, pound seat, if you like.
Okay.
So that's what I try to aim for, is to be, to have free or very low cost drives.
How do you sort of start going about this? Like, did you go, okay, I kind of want to race in this series and then break it down, or just? I'm
winding it way back. Like, everyone must be a race driver or a fighter pilot or an astronaut, don't they? And there was just an opportunity to go racing back when one of our clients said, do you want to come down? We're sponsoring some team. I go, this sounds great. I can have a go in the car. And it was something called a Formula Jedi, which then turned into Formula Honda, which was a bike engine single-seater. Okay. And it was at a sprint track somewhere in the Midlands. I can't remember. And I had a go and it was just great. I've got to do this. And they said, well, all you have to do is get your license. You can come and race with us in Knock Hill. And I went, yay, let's do it. How difficult can it be? And it poured with rain, and it was, you can't see a thing. And I survived the first 2 races, and then you kind of hooked. It's a terrible drug, really. You can probably have a lot more fun with other drugs and at a lot cheaper level, but it's addictive.
It keeps you coming back.
Yeah, and it's a challenge, and that's what I love about racing. It's always a challenge of driving with a team and trying to do your best, and actually better than your best, pushing yourself and pushing yourself to the limit and getting the enjoyment from that. And I think over the years, I then went into caterings, which are a great place to start. But raced with some pretty awful teams. I mean, the stories I could tell you there. I mean, paying teams insurance, and then you'd find out actually they hadn't insured the car. And when the car gets crashed, you go, "Oh, sorry guys, we forgot to pay, and we didn't pay that round. And what about the money I just paid you?" And that's quite a good example of what the traps you can fall in as an amateur driver, because again, you hand your money over,
and you are an amateur. You don't know what's going on.
No, and sometimes you have to have someone who's not emotionally involved in that discussion to actually broker the deal and try and find a solution, and ideally not be put in that solution in situation in the first place. But yeah, for driving different formulas, I think back in 2013, I was still doing club racing, dipping in and out, never doing a full series because didn't have the budget or any sponsors to pay for a full budget. So I do a race here and there, enjoy it, and then not have any more money to do.
I mean, you're just going, I fancy driving a Caterham, or I fancy driving a Porsche or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I was in Porsche boxes. I bought a Porsche box to a friend of mine who I convinced he should start racing.
That looks like quite good racing.
Yeah, the Boxsters was a really good series. It's actually kind of now finished, I understand. It hasn't actually going to happen, but they were good fun cars. You're racing a Porsche.
Yeah.
Great brand. And it was actually a really difficult car to drive, mid-engine, really on a knife edge, and it was a lot of fun. The racing series in 2013 was really, really tight. A lot of really good battles, a lot of politics, a lot of BS, but I enjoyed it. And I think the end of that year, I started doing some 750 Motor Club stuff, more endurance style racing.
Yeah,
mostly in the UK, everything's sprint racing. It's over and done in 20 minutes. But I was enjoying the 50-minute races we had the opportunity to do, and then there was an option to go and do the Silverstone 24-hour. We're a friend's team in a Toyota GT86.
Okay.
Which they drove to the circuit.
Nice.
They drove to the circuit.
So what event was this under?
That was the Creventic Silverstone 24-hour. And it was a lot of fun. I couldn't believe how much fun it was. Pouring rain, car steaming up, and the Toyota being one of the slowest cars there, being overtaken by everything. But it was just so much fun, and we came fourth. And,
brilliant.
And it was in our class, not overall. And I was just hooked. I was 20. This is it, endurance racing.
After my first long race, longer than 20 minutes, like the first 45, I was like, this is good. Then I went straight to then doing a 24. Obviously, you don't drive 24, but I was like, this is it. This is so much better.
Well, it's value for your money. You get a lot more driving.
You get a lot more driving.
It's a different discipline. I sometimes go back and do short races, and it's quite a different mentality going from I'm going to drive a 2-hour stint now, and effectively you're only looking at lap time and fuel consumption and tyres, and that you're not actually racing anybody until the last 2 hours of a 24-hour race. But in a 30-minute sprint, you're pushing hard. And when I did British GTs last year and the year before that, effectively it is a sprint, even though it's only 2 1-hour races. It's still a sprint.
Yeah,
I was like, crikey, you've got to work a lot harder.
You've got to be flat out straight away.
Oh yeah, there's no coasting. You're not 7 tires at all. You are just driving flat out. And I was like 30 minutes in and going, actually, this is quite hard work. I'd forgotten how hard it was to actually drive flat out, because you only get the opportunity in qualifying, assuming you are qualifying, an endurance race, a 24-hour race. But yeah, it's nice to get in the car and just go, right, off you go, Joe.
Off you go. This is when you deliver.
Yeah, and it's more of a team. It's more of a team game because you're driving with 3 or 4 different drivers in your car. Sometimes you'll have a full pro in the car, and invariably he qualifies. And occasionally you get the opportunity to qualify, which I did. When was it last time? Portimao, I think it was. And the number 1 driver, a guy called Rip Breukers, who I've raced with a lot. Amazing driver, super quick, and of course he's always going to go in first.
Yeah.
He wasn't available, so they go, JM, go. It's all good. How many tyres do you want? I was like, really? 3 sets of tyres, just go for it. And I just like, I was really happy with that qualifying.
Yeah, good times. So you've got, okay, right. What's the process? Let's say you go, I've got a budget. Someone wants to get into racing and they can come in. We can pick a few different levels or whatever. Let's just imagine it's myself.
Yep.
And I come to you guys and say, help me out. I've no idea what I'm doing. I'd like to get good at racing and quick at driving cars. And let's pick, I'll just pick a budget. So say I've got 30 grand.
Yep.
Which obviously is a lot of money, but in racing, that's not a lot of money.
First of all, you've got to evaluate how you are as a driver and where you're going to fit in. And that's a vital part of it. There's no point going, okay, well, for 30K, we can put you into a GT3 and, and do a couple of rounds in British GT or a round in British GT or a round in Blancpain, because you're going to hate it and you're going to get scared out of your life and bullied out the seat.
Yeah.
You've got to build up to it. So we'd look at what your past history is, probably take you out on track and make sure, you're competent and go, okay, where on the ladder are we going to put you in? What makes sense? Does it make sense looking at GT4? Does it make sense looking at another type of sports car series or prototype? If it's LMP3, there's great opportunities in there. And then probably associating you with a very good coach. Having a great coach is vital and cost effective, because you can never learn by yourself going around in circles.
No.
You've got to have someone to tell you, right, you're braking too late here. You're on the power too early. You're turning in too early, which are actually three of the most common things. You're trying to over brake. You're trying to brake too late because you think the long run on the throttle. Yeah. Actually, you're just not balancing the car for the corner, and you're getting on the throttle too early, and you're pushing the car wide, so you're understeering away from where you should be. A lot of it's kind of patience. And from that point on, then we go, okay, right, where can we put you, and where can you get the best value for your money and the most time, and what do you want to achieve? And most people want to enjoy their time. It's not necessarily about winning. That is a really good part of it, getting on the podium.
Good byproduct.
But if you can have a great weekend of racing and go, I love that, I want to come back to that team, because that team knows how to look after you as well, and they put the right process around you, the right engineer as well, and having a driver coach there, for instance, as well, and a decent caterer. I like to eat well.
Yeah, it's part of the thing.
That's all part of the experience, which is mostly lacking. And that's why we hope we're going to do good work at Sport 21 for everyone.
Yeah, so like if you go into the paddock and you see teams at the bottom, low level all the way up to top level, do you see a lot of the same issues amongst teams?
Yeah, you do. To use the word budget racing is probably a little strange, because you think, oh, this is a bit like Tesco's own brand, but it isn't. Yeah. The cars all cost the same to run. There's a mileage count and a value on each kilometre it costs, and that will vary from maybe €8 a kilometre to €18 a kilometre. If you're doing 3,000,
it's a really funny metric, but like
it's that adds up pretty quickly, and that's just the wear and tear on the car. That's nothing to do with the actual costs of the car, the tyres, or the fuel, or anything you put in it. So you can cut corners, and teams do, and if you want to go budget racing, you need to expect, look, the car might not make 24 hours. Yeah. You're not going to get all that service. But equally, it doesn't cost much for the team to tick a few extra boxes. And that's why, again, we're coming in and talking to teams going, guys, if you do this, you're going to actually maintain that driver relationship. And that's what people want to do. What you need is a really good engineer to actually help that driver. Because, again, we're talking about AM drivers. The only way a driver is going to get better is through instruction, and it's just not a commonplace. And it sounds very bizarre. It's not a common factor to have coaches. In Formula One. There are a few guys that have coaches. Valtteri Bottas uses Rob Wilson, who's a great guy, but they won't talk about it because it's almost like, well, I know everything. I know everything. Racing. It's all imagination, but you need that. And why? I would say why Lewis didn't win the championship when Rosberg did, because they swapped engineers, and actually having the right engineer with you is as important than anything else, because that engineer is actually coaching you throughout the race and through testing and through qualifying and telling you where you need to go fast and what you're doing wrong, because you cannot absorb all that information by yourself.
Yeah. I've found having a driver coach and I've had some good ones and some not good ones, and I'm always sort of still looking for the ultimate. It makes an unbelievable difference. Now, over my experience of racing and driving on track and stuff, I've learnt more about going fast in terms of breaking it down and how it works and stuff like that. But like you said, like on the day, I go out and do a set of laps and come back in, and I can't immediately go out again and go straight faster because I don't necessarily know little things. Like, you know what you know, but you also don't know what you don't know. And people point out stuff and they're like, no, you need to go slower. And you're like, what? Like, no, if you go slower, you'll go faster. You're like, what are you talking about? Like just get off the brakes or whatever. All these things that might be car specific or track specific and all of these things.
I mean, cars just vary so much. I mean, every car you get into is different. You know, front wheel drive, mid engine, rear engine, they're all different, aero, non-aero. And it just takes time, and you do need somebody to be there. And I mean, the best scenario is to have a really good teammate. You can look at their data and understand what's going on, but you still need someone to translate what that actually means in real time. Having a look at a squiggly line that goes up and down is kind of meaningless unless actually someone's telling you that squiggly line there is how much time you're losing, and you haven't got the coast phase mid corner, and that's why you're losing all the time down the straight. Nobody expects a AM driver to be as quick as a pro. Those guys are doing it 5 days a week, and you know, actually hats off to them because, you know, guys like Adam Christo, good guy, great driver. He's, you know, on the road constantly. He's on doing something every day almost. Yeah. And last year I spent, I think, about 5 weeks racing every weekend. I was destroyed at the end of it. Just the traveling back and forth. It wasn't actually that much fun. It was hard work, and it is, you know, I always approach it more as a job anyway. I always want to do my best, you know, at whatever level I'm racing. So, yeah, you can't turn up just half-hearted, and you got to go into it.
You've got to fully commit. Yeah, you've got to be there. Otherwise, why you?
Well, you do see guys with, you know, a big amount of wealth behind them that just turn up, and I've seen it at races where they turn up, they do 2 or 3 laps, and they come back in. The team's like, "You're supposed to be out there for another 2 hours." I've had enough. You guys carry on. I've seen it happen, which is great for the other drivers because you get a lot of driving time.
You get a lot more driving, yeah.
And then, you know, the next day they go, right, I want to get in the car again now. Yeah, it's a funny sport.
It is. It's definitely funny. One of my friends who also races radical is a guy called Mark. His first year, he's very time poor. Like, he doesn't have very much time at all. So he would come in for the Saturday, go straight into qualifying, straight into racing, and then I think after doing 2 seasons like that, or, you know, a bunch of races over 2 years, he realized, he was like, what am I doing? If I don't turn up on Friday and do the testing, I'm just not as fast as it's basically impossible to be as fast as everyone else.
You can't get to that edge, and you just can't get to the edge of where your own performance is, let alone anyone else's performance. It's really difficult to get in a car and go quick. I made the mistake last year of flying out to the Gulf 12-hour and not doing the test day. I just couldn't get out there. It was a last minute, JM, we need a driver, come out. And I went, okay, well, no problem. You know, don't know the track, how difficult can it be. Yeah. Played it on PlayStation a couple of times. Got into a Porsche 991 car, which I know well. First sector, no problem. Second sector, no problem. Third sector, I was just losing a second and a half for that sector the whole time because you jump straight into quali. And I actually remember that point. I was talking about time critical and having, you know, people mostly have to juggle jobs. I was on the phone dealing with an emergency, and the team's going, "You got to get in the car now." I go, "Kind of on the phone, guys, can't." And lost, you know, out of 10 minutes, lost 5 minutes of the qualifying anyway. And then, of course, during the race, you can never push to that limit during the race. And I was consistently a second, whatever it was, down in that third sector because it doesn't look like it on TV, but those walls are really close. It's like a street circuit. So that's another part. You know, you've got to be looking at the right scenario. And as tempting as it is to fly out to the Gulf for next to nothing and go and drive around the circuit, you sometimes make yourself look less of a driver because you haven't given yourself enough time. And we're not pros. We can't just get into that car.
Can't just turn up, drive.
On a circuit, you don't know.
Second lap within a tenth of like a qualifying time or whatever.
I mean, there are certain cars, certain tracks you can do it on. You know, if I
Where's your stomping ground?
Barcelona. Probably like most drivers. Most drivers have probably driven more laps around Barcelona than anywhere else.
Why Barcelona? I haven't been
Have you never been to Barcelona?
No.
Well, it's a great place, great vibe.
It looks
great
like
city, good food, good beach.
Been to Barcelona, great place.
It's the number one testing circuit in Europe. It's normally always pretty good weather. It's probably one of the best tracks in the world for driving. It has pretty much every corner you expect in it. It's a very good. If you're quick
track.
there, you should be quick anywhere in the car. And it's pretty much that people are testing there pretty much every day of the week or racing there. It's probably one of the busiest circuits in Europe, I would imagine. So Barcelona's a great track. So at the end of the month, virus allowing, I'm jumping straight into an NP3 car on Friday morning with no testing. And there's a test session and then quali in the afternoon and then a 4-hour race on Saturday, I think. So, but that doesn't worry me because I know the track like the back of my hand.
Yeah.
I'd be more concerned going out to Bahrain or somewhere like that and racing there and doing the same thing. I just wouldn't put myself in that position and wouldn't advise anyone else.
Have you driven what are you racing this year?
I don't really know at the moment.
Don't know.
Well, I'm busy with Sport 21. I'm definitely doing NP3 in Barcelona in a few weeks' time, and then we'll see what happens from there.
Have you driven LMP3 quite a bit?
Yeah,
or somewhat.
Yeah, quite a bit. You know, one of those mistakes, which was a great experience, really, was again going back to that bronze thing, being a bronze driver. A team was desperate for a bronze driver at Silverstone ELMS, which is pretty much one of the high series up in the world. Is you're racing against guys that are ex-F1 guys, and you know, it's proper racing. And I go, can you drive an MP3? I went, no, but how hard can it be? Turns out to be quite hard. And that I was thrown straight in. Never driven the car before.
Had you driven anything like that?
No, I'd never even driven an aero car. Never driven a Radical.
Really?
And and I was just unbelievable. It's like flying upside down. You put in 4G under braking. It was unbelievable, but equally the best thing I've ever driven. It's just amazing car. And then going straight into the race with LMP2 cars, which are not, almost as quick as LMP1 Le Mans cars, and everything else going around you and coming down Hanger Straight at Silverstone and losing it into the Stowe right corner. Yeah, Stowe, and spinning multiple times with LMP2 cars going past me at huge rates knots going, yeah, that was fun. But it was great. I remember again just looking around and there's a helicopter, a TV helicopter, 10 meters above you. And you go, that's cool. So I don't regret the experience, but I wish I had more time in the car.
More time in the car.
Because it's such an alien car going from a Porsche or anything to that. It's like flying upside down.
Yeah. I've driven the Radicals, which is somewhat similar. I don't think they're quite as knife edge.
The Radical, in no disrespect to Radicals, is... how can I phrase it? It's a toy compared to something like the MP3.
Oh, LMP3 is full on.
And it's a very difficult car. There's no ABS in it. There's no traction control. And it's a big, powerful V8, hammering you down with huge amount of aero. The Radical, when I got into it the first time last year, I was like, wow, this is so much fun. It's so easy to drive. But that's, again, it's getting to that level and just going, I can go this quick. Because your brain
doesn't compute.
Yeah. If it's a bit like, if you put your finger into a light socket, you're probably not going to do it twice. But you might get a little bit, you might be, and racing's pretty much is that. It's having the skill and the confidence and the balls to go out that quick. And actually, the balls is probably the biggest thing between a pro and an AM, that the pro will push that level.
And the balls comes with experience.
Yeah.
If you've done 1,000 laps in a car, you know the car.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you've done 10 and someone says that corner's flat, you're like, yeah, but...
And the lack of balls comes with age. Because you know how much it hurts and how expensive
cost.
it is
That's
when
it.
you hit something. And that 18-year-old driver who's not paying a penny has never had a big shunt. They're always going to be quicker than you. But that's not the point. I think that goes back to endurance racing, is that you don't have to be ultimately quick. You just have to be very consistent and be in the ballpark.
Yeah.
And, you can have different skills. I'm really good at fuel saving.
Okay.
Just being able to learn how to do exactly the same lap time as everyone else is doing, but you're saving, 0.1, every couple of laps.
What sort of things end up like, how do you do that? How do you be similar lap time, but much more efficient on fuel?
Well, I can't tell you that.
Oh, yeah.
I tell you how it came about is I mentioned Rick Breukers before. Rick's a young Dutch driver, exceptionally good. You know, he's won Daytona 24 Hour twice, got 2 Rolexes.
Good times.
Yeah, and I raced with him a lot, with him and his father in their TCR car.
Yeah.
And a Seat TCR. And I just like, Rick, how are you saving that fuel? And it's kind of pretty simple, really.
Okay, you're just going to keep stum. I mean, simple things. There's like changing up early.
Well, it's not really
coasting and whatever.
It's just coasting into the braking zone.
Yeah.
It's just lifting probably 10 meters earlier, but you just don't touch the brake. You just, that deceleration is just happening. And
that's the standard one I hear about at like Le Mans or whatever. It's just,
well, you hear it on F1, lifting coast, lifting coast. And in more sophisticated cars like GT3, there's a button that says fuel safe. it's just an engine mode. I've seen teams, I won't say which team, they actually put a block of wood on the accelerator.
Oh, nice.
And the team I raced with, I was like, why are we so slow in the straight? Oh, it's because we got a block of wood on the accelerator to save fuel. I don't want that. Take it out. I can save fuel by myself. I don't want to be slowed down the whole bloody straight. So, yeah, there's some fun stories. Honestly, about that time I got pulled out of a car by police under gunpoint.
Got pulled out of a car by police under gunpoint?
Yeah.
Well, okay, go on. Talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, here's another example of things going quite interestingly wrong. I mean, not that, you know, anyone could have seen it coming really, but yeah, it was a funny scenario. Paul Ricard, NEP3 race, just about to go out for qualifying, and 4 or 5 gendarmes turned up, heavily armed with guys in suits, and they told me to get out of the car.
When you were in the LMP3 car at the time?
Yeah. Well, it was a problem with the team and a previous driver.
Oh, really?
So I potentially shouldn't talk any more about that.
Oh,
but
okay.
it was a legal action. They seized the cars.
Oh, wow.
So, but the team did an amazing job. Actually, they managed to secure 2 other cars, and we did get to race. And I had an amazing race, actually. It was a lot of fun. It's 5 or 6 cars wide down the Mistral Straight, and me on the dirt overtaking them all. Pretty epic, actually. And then got punted off by the lawyer who was working for the other driver. But, yeah, that was good.
Good times.
Yeah, they were good times.
Lots of good memories. Do you have any, what's your, craziest memories? So you said you raced at Le Mans.
Yeah.
What did you race in?
I raced, obviously Le Mans 24 Hours is pretty much everyone's dream of racing sports cars.
Weirdly, it's not a track I actually want to drive.
It's a great track.
About driving.
It's a great track. It's the straight goes on forever. It's just a street. It's a street.
Yeah,
it's a street.
I've been there.
It's amazing. You're doing 180, 190 miles an hour down a tree-lined road. It's amazing. I mean, Nordschleife is the best track in the world, but Le Mans not far off it.
Yeah.
But every year they actually have support races. So a couple of years ago it was Aston Martin, and some years it's Porsche. This year I believe it's the Porsche Cup. I just thought, well, in the Aston Martin, there's a good chance of winning this, or winning the class I was in, which was GT4. And I teamed up with Rick Breukers again. We stuck it on pole for qualifying. And yeah, the morning on Saturday morning, 10 a.m., you're out there in front of 250, 300,000 people just before the 24-hour race starts. And you go into the chicane and you go down straight and the lights turn off and off you go racing. And yeah, that was pretty special. The green flag lap was pretty special.
Yeah,
because you had a moment, you had to go, I'm just going to look and just enjoy it because this is amazing. And then you're flat out and trying to win the race. And yeah, it was good fun. We came second. We got punted off actually. But yeah, that was great.
Are some series dirtier than others?
Yeah.
That was something that I sort of try and look at now and go, what's the driving standards like? And there's almost also I would rather there were less professional drivers racing because
I think from my experience, it's probably the AM drivers with a lot of funding are probably the worst.
That's got to be the worst. Super
pros,
young, loads of money.
Pros at the end of the day are being paid there to not crash the car.
Yeah.
You see it occasionally. They're going to drive hard. They will dive down that gap. That's what they're paid to do.
Yeah.
They will take the risk, but you've got to see them coming. And if you're not quick enough to stay in front of them, then quite honestly, you should lift off and let them go past.
Yeah.
Because you'll lose more time battling with them anyway. Yeah, you definitely see series which are dirtier. I don't think it'd be fair for me to comment too much about that, but the series I like racing in and I think are great are series like the Craventix 24-hour series. It's a very friendly place to be.
Yeah.
There's some great drivers in there, top pro teams. But ultimately, I think everybody in that series realizes it's a 24-hour race, and generally nothing stupid happens.
Yeah.
Generally nothing stupid happens. The ELMS, Le Mans Cup, all those series are, I think, very, very high level of drivers. I think probably when you get closer to home in the UK, the level of driving is potentially not as good.
British GT looks like a bit of a nightmare sometimes.
Yeah, I think some of the problems with that series and other series is that they don't come down hard enough on drivers. Creventic come down very hard, and other series, they don't actually care how much money you've got. They go, that is dangerous driving, you're banned. And it's simple as that. And they will never ban anyone from British GTs, and they'd never ban anyone from touring cars. Yeah. We all like, Robbins Racing and all that, but it isn't.
Robbins Racing when I'm watching it, not when I'm on track.
No, when you get a little tap from behind at, whatever speed, hitting a barrier at any speed hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not on. It is a non-contact sport. I mean, pushing someone, making it difficult for them to overtake is fine. And without doubt, for me, the best series and the best driving standards that I've raced in is the VLN series at Nordschleife.
That looks to me like the most fun, like just the most fun.
It's beyond belief. It's it's a track. I just last year I just wanted to do it. It was something I wanted to. Adam Christodoulou said, "Mate, you got to do it. You got to do it. If you're going to be a real racing driver, you got to do it." I went, okay, and I never had really any interest in it. I never like one of those guys that wanted to go and drive their car around it.
Yeah.
And I just went, yeah, right, I want to do it. And they've got a really great process over there. It doesn't matter who you are. And I did my course with Martin Brundle. It wouldn't matter if you're Lewis Hamilton or J.M. Littman. You still have to go through the course. You have to do a classroom course, and then you have to go around with an instructor, and you then have to follow them, and then you have to do, I think, 16 laps before you can even race.
Yeah.
And people, they watch you. And if you're not good enough, they will not let you race. Simple as that. And then you get in the race, and my first, Nordschleife and Nordschleife, I haven't raced there yet when it has been pouring rain, and you're driving around with no visibility at all on a track you hardly know, and there are barriers everywhere, and you're being passed by GT3 cars everywhere. It is unbelievable, and you guys, I'm sure you'll mention my Instagram later. There's some onboard videos there.
Yeah, we'll put a link to your Instagram.
It is. I'm buzzing just thinking about it. But there is a point. I know I went out. I think it was VLN2.
What car were you in?
Again, you have to step up. They won't let you straight out. I was in a Cayman. Yeah. Not a GT4, but something.
Did you do it with Jerome?
Thank God, because Jerome keeps crashing. No, he doesn't care.
So I know he did it his first year.
That's how it's the way I met Jerome. No, I think Jerome kept getting penalties. Oh. Can I say that? He's going to really hate me. Because they're really strict, and it's great. If you speed in a code 60 or a yellow zone, you get a penalty. And it's not a drive-through or 30, it's like a 10-minute penalty. Yeah, it's savage. Huge. It's savage, and quite rightly so, because it's an incredibly dangerous track to be racing on.
I can't believe the attitude.
Jerome. Sorry, mate. He didn't crash. He's never crashed.
I can't believe the attitude to yellow flags and that sort of thing generally in racing, full stop. Like, the amount of times I've been on track, in fact, every time I'm on track now, endurance race, whatever, yellow flags, no one slows down. Safety car, you don't slow down. You literally do not slow down until you have to slow down.
Yeah, I mean, VLN's different. You do slow down. Every car's got GPS on it.
Yeah.
So if you are not doing 100K in the 100K, is that 100K or 120K? So I can't even remember what it is. 120K.
They're different, aren't they?
You have different
speed
things.
zones.
You have to slow down. And there is a point. If you do not slow down by that line, you're going to get a penalty.
Like speeding in the pit lane or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It's black and white with them, and I think that's exactly how it should be done. They're very clear on what you should be doing as a slow car. You must indicate if you see the car coming, you must let that car go past. It's really straightforward, and that's why I really like the series, because I think the driving standard is the best in the world. Yellow flags, I mean, look, on a normal 24-hour race, the yellow flag means must be prepared to slow down and stop. It doesn't mean slow down. You don't slow down. And I've been behind safety cars for 2 or 3 laps, driving flat out, trying to catch the cars in front.
Yeah.
Because actually there's no speed limit. You can still drive flat out.
And they want everyone to bunch up.
Which is the whole idea. But you still have to drive flat out, going past the scene of the accident at, 280 kilometers an hour. Because you don't... The thing I always do is I always lift my hand up, which I remember Sturdy in Moscow, and I always just put my hand up, and I remember Mick and Hackenden did it at Monaco, and I went, I must remember, that's cool. And I went, yeah, I noticed it. You put your hand up, and visually they can see, he put his hand up.
But, he must be like driving slower.
But he's not. Listen, there are times when you think that's crazy. I think in Barcelona last year, there was a huge accident, and we were under code 60. But going code 60I means you have to drive at 60 kilometers. But 60 kilometers an hour was too quick. Because there were track marshals and
so it was just
on the track just
sweeping, like 20 or whatever.
And actually, they should have thrown a safety car and bunched everyone up.
Yeah.
But they just don't like throwing safety cars in that serious. And I think that was wrong, and told them that because it was dangerous. You were driving in between people at 60 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, like dodging people.
I mean, that you kill them. You'll put them in hospital or something like that.
It must be really difficult. I have a lot of respect for the people that handle that stuff. And marshals and everyone that works in the safety aspect. It must be really difficult to deal with all that stuff because let's say it's nighttime in a 24-hour race. People do a lot of stuff they shouldn't do.
Well, cut corners.
Cut corners, like on the way. Who was I talking to? It was it was Adam actually. I had him on the podcast. And was it him? It was someone. And we were talking, it was Jerome's brother. It was Jerome's brother.
Yeah.
And
very good driver.
He was saying, you have you're allowed a certain number of like warnings before you actually get black flagged or whatever. It's like, so on your out lap, you chop the corners, and on your in lap, you chop the corners because like that's what everyone does, and you save like 3 seconds. So that's just the way.
Well, I mean, at night, you can get away with it, whatever you can get away. I mean, some series are different. Some series are very hard. I hate British racing because I hate the regs over here that Mr. Palmer brought in to protect his grass. And I think it ruined for racing for me, getting penalties because, you've had to go wide, because they, to explain in the UK, you have to have all 4 wheels on the track where everywhere else it's 2 or even 1, which sounds weird because surely you should be on the track, but, there are runoffs to use, there are curbs to use, but over in the UK, they've got cameras and pressure mats and things that take photos of you, and it does ruin the races. Sometimes we're not cheating. You make a mistake, and I think it's.
I have mixed feelings about it because I think if you define it, as long it's defined, and therefore the racing is within whatever's defined. But like you said, there are times.
I'd rather than put a brick wall there. Put a wall there. But
there are times when you may have to run wide.
Yeah.
You may have to go around someone on the grass or whatever, and as long as it's not ridiculous and you haven't had a massive advantage from doing it, you shouldn't get a penalty.
Yeah, it's too draconian. I mean, in the 12-hour race, Golf 12-hour, on the restart, it's a really fun video. I was in a Porsche 991, which is obviously nowhere near as quick as the GT3 cars, and I was very much probably 3/4 of the way down probably quarter of the way up in the pack. So I had 30 or so GT3 cars behind me. Restart, everyone's flying past you. You're trying to go past GT4 cars, and down the back straight, I could see there was one of the Lambo GT3s coming up inside me. And the easiest thing to do was just cut the corner. Exactly what I did. Well, why didn't you get a penalty? Well, I lifted off and didn't gain an advantage, and I didn't cause an accident because we still had another 4 hours of the race to go. And I over in the UK, well, I probably would never have been allowed to drive again. It would have been. I hate that rule. I hate that rig over here. Sorry.
It's
for me, it's a good reason. It's actually one of the reasons why I don't race in the UK, because it just drives me that nuts. I was also the first person to get penalised when the rules came in.
You feel unfairly punished. So you don't race that much in the UK anymore?
No, not at all.
You choose to race in other places. And to be honest, the weather in the UK is normally awful. Granted, every time I've been to Spa, it rains. Every time you go to somewhere like Nürburgring, that rains.
I think it's just a bigger scene. Yeah. And the teams, I think, tend to be more professional. And, as much as I like Snetterton or Barcelona, I mean, it almost takes the same time to get to Barcelona as it does Snetterton anyway.
And you can get a flight to Barcelona for nothing.
Yeah. For me, that's part of it. And that's part of the enjoyment is I want to go somewhere else. I enjoy that element of going to a big track and walking into a big F1 paddock like Barca or like Paul Ricard or Monza. It feels a little bit more special than going to Brands, which, again,
or Cadwell Park or something like that.
I wouldn't go to Cadwell Park if you paid me. It's just a different level. And I think it is club racing at the end of the day, and club racing's great, but it's not where I wanted to be. I wanted to be out racing on big circuits with big teams and basically being a bigger, not the small pond, which is British club racing, which is great. I wanted to be challenged and have my ass kicked at a higher level.
Yeah, you want to go and race against the best people.
Yeah.
And obviously there are some very good series in the UK, but then also there's lots of these opportunities. Like you said, going to, you fly into somewhere like Monza or whatever, Barcelona, there are all these big name circuits that you've heard of, people have heard of. If you said I did a race at like Knock Hill or something, like what you talking
which I did,
about?
and it's great. I mean, not many people probably have raced at Knock Hill, but it's a crazy circuit, and that rains all the time there. Yeah, I'm not knocking British racing at all because
we've got a great scene and loads of great tracks, but I totally get why. If you're only going to do certain things and you're going to cherry pick them, you might as well go to the cool places.
It's more an event. I think that's it.
Yeah.
It's more an event, getting on a plane, going somewhere warm, hopefully, and walking into one of those great paddocks that, and to be quite honest, Silverstone is not a great paddock compared to Barcelona or Paul Ricard. It's maybe because we've been there so much, it's not as special.
It's just like an airfield as well.
It is an airfield. And actually, it's funny thing. Actually, most of the tracks here in the UK are airfields. I don't think any of the tracks that I can think of in Europe are airfields. I think maybe that's part of it. It's its history. But listen, without British racing, there'd be no motorsport anyway. So
yeah, like so many teams based here, so much of the engineering, all of that stuff. So you race in a bunch of different stuff and you cherry pick the things. How do you go about choosing?
Well, that's through my management and advisors and now Sport 21. So you have to be connected. And without those connections or without someone knowing those connections, you're never going to get those invites to go racing in the US or wherever. So Manfredi Revetto, he's ex-Caterham F1, ex-Bicolis, ex-DTM, ex-everything. He is an incredibly connected guy. And, when a team needs someone, they call him.
Yeah.
They go, look, we need a silver, we need a bronze. We need, we need a platinum driver or whatever. We need a fast guy here, and that's how it worked basically. And that's how I've managed to do so many different type of racing. And I'm happy jumping in to
different stuff,
which I enjoy that challenge personally. And to a degree, there's less pressure because I'm not going for a championship.
Yeah,
I think when you're in a championship, you're there to win ultimately.
Yeah, if you're going to do a full season,
you're
in it to win.
What's the point? I'm there to win as well. But I enjoy the challenge of driving something new and jumping in. 1 week I'm in a Fun Cup VW thing, and the next week I'm in a GT3, and the week after that a Super Trofeo car. They're all completely different. You might as well say one's got one wheel and the other car's got helicopter wings on it, and they got a steering wheel, but that's about this match. And I like that challenge. I like that fun part of it. For me is getting into car. The difficulty is actually trying to remember where the buttons are.
Okay, yeah.
Because there's lots of buttons in the car. I'm trying to remember which one it is. I've tell a quick funny story in Dubai this year. A good friend of ours now called Gorski, American guy. We're in a Super Trofeo Lambo in the Dubai 24 Hours, and he just got off the plane and got in the car and pressed the red button. Well, the red button happens to be the fire extinguisher, not
not the push to talk or whatever.
Yeah, it wasn't the push to talk. It wasn't the starter button. It was the fire extinguisher button, and I've never seen a fire extinguisher button go off, and believe me, they don't do much. That kind of was quite worrying in some ways, but that was not how not to impress the team with. Yeah, it was funny, but
so you're like, okay, I want to go and get a good deal on something, and you've got the contacts. Like what, as an example, not necessarily a specific example, but let's say a weekend in, I don't know. How much can you save by finding a good deal in a car?
Tens of thousands.
So I can't think of a number. Let's say a normal weekend, let's say for a car might cost GT3, I don't know, 20, 30, something like that.
Well, it depends on the race, but 24-hour race is...
It's way more, I guess.
I mean, about 250,000 for the whole car.
Yeah. And that's, what, 4 drivers?
4 or 5 drivers, yeah. Something in that region. Depends on the car. If it's a Ferrari, it's even more. McLaren's even more than that.
Yeah, so you're sort of like 50, 60,
50K is, and believe me, I never have that type of money.
Yeah.
All my sponsors never have that type of money. It's there's no way.
And how low can you get that drive with the right, not being a pro driver? If you're a pro driver, I mean, very few of them get paid to do that sort of thing.
Yeah, there's only probably, you pick a figure out the air, but maybe there's 200 pro drivers in the world.
Yeah.
There's probably more in the Vauxhall Conference League here, isn't there, that get paid. I mean, playing for Dagenham.
Formula E. That is where the money is.
Well, I know a couple of the Formula E guys. But yeah, that's funny. Talking about Dagenham FC, I mean, those guys probably get paid, what, $5,000 a week? That's more than most racing drivers ever get paid. It depends. You've got to have a level where you can drive at, because you're never going to get a cheap drive anyway. And that's where we like our drivers to get to, that they're in demand. And
okay, so you need to be a certain level of driver able
to actually do it.
Reliably put in lap times and not crash stuff.
Ultimately, if a team's absolute in desperation, they will go, okay, well, if you can pay for tyres at least, then we haven't got any other choice. It's a business. All these teams are businesses. They've got to try and break even and make a profit. Sometimes you'll get to a race where it's last minute. Right, we need a driver. We'll take any offers we can get. You can even see that at Le Mans, in Road to Le Mans sometimes, where it's probably 50, 60K maybe for one drive, one seat in the car. Those can drop down to 10K in the last few days, but you've got to be ready. You've got to be packed and ready to go. These are still crazy numbers.
It's still tons and tons of money.
Yeah, I mean the objective is to drive for free.
Yeah.
That is as an AM driver where you want to be.
That'd be the dream.
Yeah, and that's occasionally where I get to be, or
ideal,
or very, very, very low friendly rates.
Ideal. That's what I want. Yeah. That's where I'm at.
And I guess you have to be, you have to have the ability to fit into a team and just arrive and just go.
Yeah.
And being known, and I guess I am known because I love the publicity. All the free stuff I get sent on Instagram. Not. Why is that? Why don't I get free stuff?
I don't think many people get free stuff. Or it's not free. It'd be better off to pay for it.
Actually, Dyson is supposed to be sending me a fan. So Dyson, where's my fan? You promised me a fan the other week. I don't know exactly how I'm going to promote a fan, but there you go. Look, having some type of profile helps. And I guess I've worked quite hard on that, and stick me in front of a camera, I can normally say something entertaining to someone, and
That was so. One of my questions was going to be about getting sponsorship and for racing. Now, I don't really. No, of course I do, but I kind of don't understand why anyone sponsors anyone to go racing if they are a normal person. Yeah. If you're a public figure and you have a massive social media following and all of those sorts of things, I sort of get it. But the money involved is so high that unless it's your company and you're sponsoring yourself or your mate, and likewise, I don't really get it. But presumably there is money out there. How do you go about getting it? How do you find the right people?
Speaking from a personal experience, raising your brand awareness on the international motorsport scene is priceless.
Yeah.
It's really invaluable. It's got us lots of work, lots of clients. It puts you in front of people. At Le Mans, there was a guy from Google there. There was a guy who just sold his company for X amount of billions.
Totally get it.
You're in a position where it's the best networking place in the world.
Yeah.
And having your brand on the side of a car, which we do a lot of, is a really good thing for us. It brings in business. It increases people's awareness of what we do. And maybe we don't get a job out of it today, but we get a job out of it at some point in the future. And that's what it's about. Sponsoring, I know what it's like sponsoring drivers. I've done a bit of it. We sponsor some junior karters. I think it's quite special.
Yeah.
I quite enjoy giving something back. And it's great watching your brand going around on a car, not racing, watching it from the stands, while having a nice glass of champagne is a pretty good thing. Quite cool. Whilst you entertain your new clients that you've just won. Yeah, I think it's a really, really good opportunity for any company to get involved. Much easier at an international level when you're on TV and getting broadcasted worldwide, rather than again go around Snetterton on a cold Saturday afternoon.
Exactly. Like the afternoon at Cadwell Park with a bunch of people that not necessarily.
It's much easier to go out for certain if you're going to do British touring cars, and say and try and find 150,000 or 200,000, whatever it costs these days, to go and because you're on the ITV and you're on it all day long, and there are 20,000 people that turn up to the race circuit, and that sponsor can bring people to the circuit and entertain them, and hopefully you'll win.
Yeah.
Or hopefully it's good fun watching your customers enjoying the scene. And it is corporate entertainment, it's corporate hospitality. So why do people do it? Because they get a lot out of it ultimately. But it's very hard at club level to do that.
Yeah, how do you reach these people?
Well, I think I had a few sponsors. You just call up people when you try and blag it, don't you?
Yeah.
I famously had Pussy Drinks as a sponsor.
I remember them.
On my Porsche, much to everyone's amusement. Because, I called them up and said, hey, do you want to give me
some money?
Money, a few cans. And they went, you're all right. It's you got to be a salesman. And there's some great guys out that do it. I've got some great guys I know in BTCC, and they're out there working hard every day looking for sponsors.
Yeah.
And they do a really good job at it. And don't be knocked back. Just keep knocking on doors and keep asking people and trying to get people that are interested. There's no doubt there's a lot of personal money in motorsport. We've just seen Stracker Racing close their doors after so many years of really successful racing because, the owner decided he didn't want to race anymore.
Yeah.
And that whole team was a winning championship team, and now they don't exist because the owner's just decided, there are better things to be doing with my money.
With my lots and lots of money that I'm spending on this.
Lots and lots of money.
It's all.
I think you've got to look at it as an investment. I mean, either you are self-funded and very rich, and there's lots of guys out there doing that, and great. And I've seen a couple of guys that I know used to race with a couple of years ago, and now they're on the Le Mans entry this year. I think it's brilliant.
That's cool.
I mean, it's so cool. My God, that's great. And what I love about it is people don't begrudge it, especially on that level. You find a little. I think it's maybe a different attitude internationally as well. You just. People, just enjoy the motorsport, and it's a lot
much more chilled about it in other countries.
Yeah.
Here, there's a real not a great attitude around.
Yeah, it's I think
people spending money.
Yeah, I don't. Why is that? I don't know. I think again, it's Barcelona in a couple of weeks' time. I was just looking at the Circuit de Catalunya website, and free entry for everybody.
Oh, wow. Nice!
And it's a big event. It's that's cool. And most races at that level, not Formula One and big stuff, obviously are free because the circuit's already paid for and the circuit doesn't need any more money.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things wrong here in the UK. It should be free entry.
It really should.
It should be. I mean, why are they charging people £10 to get in? It should just be free. Let people buy drinks and food at the circuit
exactly.
cafe. It should be more open. I think that model is not great and isn't great for ongoing because British motor racing is slowly going down in numbers. And
you want people to go to the circuit. You want people to go and watch these things. Yeah. And I think most people look at a lot of the race events that are on and go, I mean, I don't really want to spend 20 quid on that. Okay, I will or whatever, but
yeah, exactly. They should go.
I
went on it for all the series I used to race in. Why aren't you just giving hundreds of tickets away to all the school kids? Just going, and just surely it's just a really good thing, and people will get interested in motorsport at whatever level they want to do it, whether it's marshal or a mechanic or an engineer or a racing driver, or just get people interested in. I think that's
free tickets for under 16s or whatever.
I think kids do get them for free, but
okay,
but
fine.
Anyway, but they still should be able to.
Yeah.
They should be able to just turn up and bring their family and friends because it's great fun. Club racing is great to watch. Best racing sometimes is club racing. Mazda MX-5 racing.
Oh yeah,
or
watching, like you said, the C1 24-hour or those sorts of events where you've got 150 cars banging around track. That is really entertaining to watch.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas watching, this is part of the reason why I'm not doing so much radical racing is sometimes the grids are 20 cars and it's just one car driving around. That's all you see.
I had, in the days when you used to have to get 10 signatures to get a national way, you had the opportunity to go and do a Martian day.
It's still like that.
And you can do it. So I did a Martian day at Snetterton. This is my favourite track at the moment. And it was a radical endurance race. And I remember all the marshals in the box had fallen asleep. We'd all dozed off, which is not really what you want to hear, but my God, it was boring. It was just, but radical, it's the formula it is. I mean, multi-class racing is always what's great because there's loads of stuff going on. And that's what's good fun. And anything with this close racing, you can overtake. I mean,
close racing.
F1's boring.
F1's boring. I don't watch it.
I mean, I do, but actually testing is more interesting, and actually what's going on the test day is more interesting generally what's going on the race as well. But I mean, even top end GT racing can be a bit dull.
I like it because of the cars.
Yeah.
Like if I go to Spa 24 or something like that, and occasionally I take photos at these sorts of events, I just love seeing these cars because they are the awesome stuff, or the classic events.
And you can relate to the car.
And
it looks like a car you've seen on the road.
Exactly. Like that's a GT3 Porsche. That's the GT3 race car.
Yeah.
Or you go to the classic events and see these old, just amazing old Le Mans cars still hooning around.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Like Group C cars. That's
GT1 cars.
Yes, GT1. Ooh, mega. Do you still get excited about road cars?
Yeah, I do. It's the problem with road cars are they're road cars and you drive them on the road, and to have
we
fun.
live in the UK.
To have fun, you can't have fun in a road car in the UK. You take them to Germany, the Autobahn, you're doing 330 kilometers an hour. Yeah, that's quite fun.
I'm slightly jealous of some of my friends who live in Germany or somewhere, and their commute involves a little Autobahn run, and they're like, no, I bought a fast car because I regularly, like every day, max it out on the Autobahn.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, it's one of the good reasons to go to Deutschland, because you've got an Autobahn run there. I think the A1, isn't it, down there where but I've maxed out mine at 320, 330, whatever it was, and I tell you what, those trucks come up fast. It's amazing how quickly a mile goes past when you're doing 200 mile an hour.
That's fast, isn't it?
It's wild speeds. But listen, you end of the day, you can't play around on the roads because there are people and cars coming towards you and trees, and
it's not safe.
I had friends unfortunately die not dry on the track, die on roads, just making mistakes coming out of circuit and hitting a tree, and they've been all day racing, and then something's gone wrong on the way home, and then hit a tree and dead.
Yeah, it's horrific.
Don't round on the roads.
Yeah, that's it. It's I find the more track driving I do, and the more not specifically racing gets a certain side out of it, but like just being a loon on a track, sliding a car about or whatever, that gets all of that as bonus, like out. I'm so chilled when I'm on the road.
I think that's why the Nordschleife is so amazing, because actually those big tracks, I suppose the thrill isn't there because the wall isn't there. And there's something mad and nuttiness about that, saying, oh, you want it more, but that's where the sense of the speed is coming. I mean, I'd love to race at Pau or Monaco or Macau.
It must feel
I'd
insane.
love to race that. And Nordschleife is a bit like that. It's a lot safer than it ever used to be, but it's still a hell of a dangerous place where the barriers and grass there's no runoff. There's no runoff anywhere on that track. There's no runoff.
I've seen GT3 cars bounce off the walls and keep going, so apparently it's okay.
Actually, the maddest thing about Nordschleife VNM racing, is that, you got Coast 60 areas and you got 120 areas, but they also do live snatches. So you can be doing 250 kilometers an hour while there's a tow vehicle towing a car at 40 kilometers an hour. And that's the bit you just think is mad, because it's not done on the yellow.
You
just see a white flag,
and then occasionally like a guy just running across the track. Like,
well, hopefully never that, but it's that. And thanks to Adam, he recommended that place. I mean, I want to do more VLN this year at some point.
I think that's probably the next like big sort of milestone type thing I would like to.
It made me a better driver.
VLN race.
It made me a better driver, 100%.
And step one, obviously, is get the license.
Yeah.
Had you driven the track before you got your license?
No, I just played it on project cars.
Fair enough.
And of course, it's a 10-minute lap, so you can't do that many laps before you go out there. I don't even know how many laps I did. I know Adam always tells the story that he used to play it on,
on something
Atari, I guess, or something like that. Was it probably Adam's? Is that old? And all he used to do is just play, and he knew the track backwards. And Adam's probably one of the greatest specialists there are.
Yeah,
he's the man.
Got some records.
He's got some great racing there. So that's the track where I want to go back into. That's the track it's the only track that excites me. And you can be there in any car and it's going to be exciting.
Yeah. I would like to go and spend a week, just stay there, take something that I don't really care about and just do some laps, like just lap. Well,
the best thing to ever do is never use your own car on track, always use someone else's. Because one mile on tracks are probably like 50 or 100 miles on the road.
Yeah, you don't want to take a nice car on a track like that.
It can go wrong quite quickly.
And then people just pile into you.
Actually, I shunted. I did take my years ago. I think I'm really desperate. It was like, I want to go racing. I want to go. So I took my Hyundai Coupe to Snetterton again.
Yeah.
And then went off the wet and put it off in Coram and you look like a complete...
It happens.
Yeah.
And you see it. You see it all the time.
It's really easy to make a mistake.
Right. So normally towards the end of these podcasts, I have 5 questions that I ask every guest. So are you ready?
Yeah, that rash will clear up with a good dose of penicillin. Was that not the question?
That was one, but
that was
not this one. So first question: do you have a most memorable driving trip or journey, or you could probably add racing because you do a lot of racing?
There's been several. I'll go back to VLN, second VLN race I did, racing with JP Oliveira, one of the greatest drivers in the world, and then getting the car in the most horrendous conditions, not being able to see the windscreen, let alone the bonnet. And coming at the end of the race, and the German engineer going, "Okay, checkered flag, P3."
Sick.
I was like, "What?" I was like, "P3." I was punching the car, the wheel. I was like, couldn't believe it. That's one of my happiest memories in the car, I guess. I mean, racing at Le Mans was incredible. I've had some great quali laps. I mentioned Portimao and the Seat, and went, I'm going to crash this car. If I'm going to go past the limit, and you actually don't crash. It's just knowing that is the best I'm ever going to get on that one single lap. It's difficult to remember them all. I mean, VLN is special, and just actually in Kota last year in the night in a 991 car, just doing really consistent times and being quicker than anybody else on the track. And you get out of the car, and the engineer goes, "Oh, good job." Very good job. And you go, "Wow, that's really good from a German guy."
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Right, next question. 5-car garage, unlimited value.
Oh, wow, that's difficult.
It has to fit into your life. It is a difficult question, especially if you've not thought about it at all recently.
Not really, but...
I can give you some...
918 Spider.
Right.
McLaren P1, 930 Turbo, Porsche.
Nice. Some sort of daily?
Well, the Cayman, I think the Cayman is a really great car. Porsche Cayman. There's a lot of Porsches here, aren't there?
Yeah, but
What's my fifth car?
You could have a race car or a track car or something like that. Or you could have like a sort of classic. Or 930 is kind of classic.
Yeah, very classic. What would you have as your... Isn't that enough? Kind of 4?
Yeah, it was 5.
5.
You get one more. Because you're like uber crazy pinnacle. I mean, okay, a couple of those.
Well, I guess you had
expensive.
like a Koenigsegg zig, wouldn't you? Something like that. Something.
Koenigsegg
like,
something or other.
That would be just
something
mental,
bonkers.
But actually, no, I'll tell you what, I'd go Carrera GT.
Yes.
So I'd just have 930 Turbo, Carrera GT, 918 Spider, P1.
Yeah, you take a lot of boxes like that.
There's a lot of Porsches there, aren't there?
Yeah, but
I love Porsches.
I love Porsches.
Yeah.
Which is good.
And the Cayman.
Cayman.
There you go.
There you go.
Complete garage.
Okay. If you can only drive one car for the rest of your life, you're allowed a £500 banger on the side if you have to cart family around or something.
Cars I've driven?
No. Just one car, rest of your life.
It would be boring if I said the Porsche Cayman again, because it's such an all-round car, and going back to actually, having fun on the road, and, you don't want to get into something that's mega fast and mega comfortable like a McLaren 720.
Which Cayman have you got?
Cayman S. Just a manual 6
generation?
It's a 2016 car. Manual, makes a good noise.
So 6-cylinder?
Yeah. Makes, it's just good fun to drive. If you're in a McLaren 720 or Porsche GT3 Gen 2, you've got to be doing...
You can't put your foot
hundreds
down for
of
very long.
Claptons to actually get to where it feels fun.
Yeah.
So, the Cayman's a great all-rounder. They haven't paid me to say that.
I had the same generation a bit earlier, Boxster.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
Yeah, it's just good fun. You can only go so fast. It is great to put your foot down on an unlimited road and do mega Clapton miles an hour or whatever. But I really, really love the Porsche Cayman. I should have bought it earlier. But before that, I had a really nice VW Scirocco that was a lot of fun. And I had a Mini before that and used to bang around and hammer that. Yeah, if there's a L54, don't buy it. That used to be mine.
That's one of the things about having somewhat of a social media following and things like that is people, I get messages every now and then that people have bought my old cars.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I've got your whatever RS3 or something. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, that's cool. Or my daily at the moment is an S4,
Yeah.
a van. And someone sent me a message and was like, this is the day I collected that car.
Really?
And I was like, oh, wow. Like, he's like, this is it on the drive and blah, blah, blah. And it's like 3 years old or whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, I like having this.
Yeah, no one's ever done that for me.
Part to the story.
I always change my number every time I sell my car. Actually, I should have. Actually, one of the fun cars. Can I go back to that original? I quite like a Corvette. I used to have a Corvette.
Okay, yeah.
They were quite fun. Maybe that's my bang and my just under fire. That was always good fun, the car.
Good times. Right. What do you think is the most undervalued car at the moment? Do you see something and go, that looks really cheap? Or...
Well, I want to say the Cayman again because I am absolutely just blown away what a great car it is. I've had it for 2 years. It's just a great car. I mean, like every McLaren out there at the moment is probably the best car you'll ever can drive, and losing money hand over fist.
Well, I saw a 720S this week for 130.
Yeah, well, that actually you can get that probably for 125.
Yeah, like what? It's just bonkers,
I mean,
isn't
McLaren are giving such huge deals away. Like 50 grand off a new car.
Yeah.
I mean,
crazy lease deals, all these things.
Yeah, just to shift. But they are an incredible car. You'll never drive a better car than a 540 or 570 or 720. They are the best cars in the world. I mean, surgically precise.
Yeah.
Incredible acceleration. And actually, the 540 is the best of the lot.
I feel like the lower down ones get unfairly sort of like abused because the ones above exist, when in their own right they are very good, and they're very fast as well.
The 540 is the best car of the range. It really is.
Why specifically the 540 over a 570?
Because it's got a bit less air on it. It's a bit cheaper in the first place. You can tune them to have more
same horsepower,
more horsepower. You can tune them up to the 680 brake. That's a fun car to drive. In the wet, especially.
Yeah, I imagine that is a bit
in the dry, it's a fun car to drive. Yeah, I think, personally, I think that's probably the most undervalued car in the range, but please, they can keep going down so I can afford to buy one.
That's it. It's the sort of problem with, I think the whole market at the moment is taking a real,
Porsche are giving away massive deals as well at the moment. Especially on the Taycan, I've seen some pretty interesting deals to get you into one of them. Look, we're living in crazy times at the moment, and the supercar market is definitely flat.
Yeah, for sure.
The early cars you want to be buying, as always, are the right Ferrari and pretty much any Porsche.
Yeah,
there.
Just the right cars that are good cars in their own right.
Yeah, but then again, you look at the GT4 Porsche. Those were crazy money.
They were,
and now, they had a peak. I don't know how.
And they made a ton more cars.
Yeah.
So the demand was filled.
Yeah.
And you can go into a dealership now and buy a GT4. Still a very good car.
Amazing car.
And
I'd love a GT4.
Right.
Sound great, go quick.
Sounds great, drive great, all of the above. Yeah, definitely. Right, last question. What's the most interesting car to you at the moment?
Oh, gosh.
Could be road car, race car, anything.
I mean, I've got a guy, we're just about to go to Barcelona for the go to test for a McLaren GT3, which looks phenomenal. I mean, I'd love to drive something like, an LMP2 car as a possibility. I might be racing that. Those kind of things, because actually a McLaren GT3 is still going to be a car.
Yeah.
And when you get into LMP cars, they're not cars.
Different kettle of fish.
Aeroplanes that fly on the ground. And literally that's what they do. The aerodynamics are there to hold you on the ground. That's the stuff that excites me, because the G's you pull, single seaters, and racing with guys who have raced FE and GP2, and that's you kind of say it's real racing. It's different level. It's different level from any road car, any GT3 car, anything you can ever drive. So, I mean, I'd love to drive LMP2, because that's probably where I might end up at some point.
Because the current LMP2 cars are unbelievably fast. They're like as fast as 2 years ago LMP1.
Yeah, probably not far off it. Certainly faster than some of the slower MP1 cars. I mean, I don't know what times they're going to be doing around Barcelona this year, but in the new NMP3 car, which I only tested a few weeks ago, they're doing a 138 now, which is
I've literally no idea what
138. So look, an F1 car, in the race will probably do a 121, 122.
Yeah, what's GT3?
GT3 is doing a 150
Something.
148, maybe 150,
Yeah.
something in that region. Yeah, and you're
And
going
someone in their 720S.
Well, but that's the funny thing when you look at Chris Harris go around Portimao in a 720 or whatever he's done it, and he's done a 155. Well, I do that in a Seat TCR car, and you do.
Yeah,
I mean that's always the funny. It makes me laugh. You go, yeah, that's a Seat TCR. A car you can buy.
it's funny that, isn't it?
You can buy
Tires though.
Tires. It's all about tires and suspension setup and weight. Of course, I was having a discussion with someone today about the new 765 LT, and they're taking 50 kilos out of it.
Still,
it makes you.
It's actually, in comparison to other cars of that ilk, it is quite light.
Yeah, it's light in the first place.
Yeah,
taking 50, you wouldn't even feel it. I mean, they take most of the weight comes out the wheels anyway. They just put a lighter wheel on, and
all of the weight and that actually. All of this on that car specifically are optionable things. Yeah. It's not the base car is 60 kilos lighter.
I saw it was no AC with 20 kilos.
Yeah.
Why have you ever been in a car on a hot day? And even the McLaren AC doesn't work particularly well. To have no AC at all would be madness.
And then you can spec it's like the seats, the lightweight wheels, lightweight discs.
Yeah.
Like all of these things that are pricey options.
I did take AC out of my very old 930, which is when I mentioned it. That was a mistake, has to be said.
That is, I've literally just had AC installed in my old 911 because I can't remember where I was. I was driving somewhere. It was like summer here, and it was like 30 degrees, and I was like, this would just be much nicer with AC. I'll take the 10 kilos extra or whatever.
Please, all day long to have a bit more comfortable. I mean, unfortunately, in race cars, you don't get AC, so...
You're doing some, though, don't you?
Yeah, GT3, but it makes very little difference. I mean, that's...
Do you know, like cool suits and air into your helmet and stuff like that?
Most of the cars don't have that, especially endurance. Just takes longer, and the teams don't want to spend the extra time going in and out. But yeah, we reached temperatures 60 centigrade.
But
60 centigrade.
That's pretty hot.
Yeah, 2 hours at 60C with no water, which happened again in Barcelona last year.
Oh.
I was on the floor. I mean, dragged out the car.
Do you try and sort of do a bit of fitness and stuff before?
Yeah, you have to.
The season, because that must make a huge difference to.
I mean, I'm not
brain capacity.
Again, it's time balance. Yeah. Like most, AM drivers, that you've got to balance with what you're doing during the day. I can't spend 3 hours in the gym every day. I don't want to spend 3 hours in the gym in the day, even if I could. But yeah, I cycle and run, and one of the key things is actually trying to get heat acclimatized. And but that's pretty difficult to do. So
just put your helmet on and then.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, sitting in a sauna, if you've got access to a sauna, apparently it gets you to that level. But it's that's the part of it. I guess I really like pushing yourself to that level, and I'm pretty well known for being dragged out of cars. To be quite, it's not the first time that happened.
It's like even on the stuff I've done, like the endurance thing is where it's it's wet, you're really tired, but your brain is firing like unbelievably, and then you get out of the car, and then you're still going for like 5 minutes, and then just you're just out. You're dead.
I think I've only happened once, and it was when there was no water in the car, and it was 35 centigrade outside, and the car's just getting hotter and hotter, and
it's dangerous.
I actually couldn't. I had to coast through the corners because I didn't physically have the energy. The team's going, just 10 more laps. I'm going, guys, you don't understand. 10 more laps, I'm going to be...
I'm dying.
I'm going to pull over, and there's going to be a puddle of me in the floor on the in the footwell of the car. But yeah, it's just pushing yourself. It's a challenge. We can't run around the woods chasing wild boar anymore, and this is about the closest thing to it you can get.
Yeah, it's good fun. Well, thanks very much for coming on the podcast. It's been good. It's been nice to meet you.
Yeah, pleasure being here.
Cheers.